What if I told you that, despite taking cholesterol medication for years, your arteries may still be silently filling with plaque? And here's the real kicker. Most doctors never explain why. You see, plaque isn't just about cholesterol. Cholesterol is only one piece of the puzzle. If you only address that part, the problem keeps growing right under your nose. After spending over 30 years in operating rooms, looking at blocked arteries up close, I realized something that completely shifted my understanding of heart disease. There are 3 hidden factors that determine whether your arteries get worse, or whether they can actually get better. And when you address all 3, something surprising happens. Let me ask you, how many times have you been told lowering cholesterol is enough to protect your heart? Well, that's not the full story. Cholesterol is only one piece of the puzzle. There's something much deeper, and almost no one talks about it. This missing piece is why, even when your cholesterol levels look better, progress feels slow or invisible. Once you understand this, it changes how you look at your heart, what you eat, and even the smallest daily choices you make. I'm Dr. Robert Miller. With over 3 decades of treating heart disease, I've seen what plaque really looks like inside the body, not just on lab reports. Early on, I thought cholesterol was the main culprit. But after years of observing patients and reviewing their scans, I started seeing a pattern that didn't match the usual narrative. Some patients, even with controlled cholesterol, still worsened. Others showed improvement with simple lifestyle changes. That's when I realized cholesterol isn't the only thing driving plaque. And that's when I started focusing on what happens beneath the surface, which changed the way I guide patients today. Here's something most people don't realize. Plaque forms through 3 interconnected pathways working together. Cholesterol is just one part. Oxidation damages LDL particles, making them sticky and prone to embed in artery walls. Inflammation acts like a beacon, attracting immune cells that build up, thickening plaque over time. A structural component, including fibrin and calcium, hardens and stabilizes the plaque, making it more dangerous. When you only focus on lowering cholesterol, you miss these other critical drivers. After 60, your body struggles more to repair these issues. This is why plaque buildup accelerates and recovery becomes slower. That's why a broader approach is essential for your heart health. I remember a patient named Richard. He was 68 years old, walked every morning, and followed what he thought was a heart-healthy lifestyle. He took his statin faithfully, ate what he believed was the right diet, and his cholesterol numbers were perfect, according to his doctor. On the surface, Richard was doing everything right. For a while, it seemed like he had it all figured out. No major symptoms, just a little fatigue, which he brushed off as part of getting older. But then, one afternoon, while carrying groceries, he felt a tightness in his chest. It wasn't dramatic, but it was enough to worry him. A scan followed, and the results shocked him. There it was, significant plaque buildup, far more than he ever expected. Now, here's the part that confused Richard. How can this happen if my cholesterol is controlled? He was doing everything he was told to do: the medication, the light exercise, eating the right foods. On paper, he looked healthy. He had checked all the boxes. But this is where many people like Richard get misled. Here's the reality most people don't realize. Lowering cholesterol doesn't stop oxidation. You see, inside your body, even if cholesterol levels are perfect, LDL particles can still become damaged through oxidative stress. This happens from things like blood sugar spikes, processed foods, a history of smoking, even chronic stress. When LDL becomes oxidized, it changes shape. It turns unstable and sticky, making it more likely to embed into the lining of your arteries. Once inside, your body treats it like a threat. Your immune system sends white blood cells to clean it up. But in the process, these cells turn into foam cells and form the base of plaque. And this is where the silent inflammation begins. You don't feel it. There's no pain, no warning signs. It's a slow, silent process happening day after day, unnoticed. And here's the kicker. After 60, this becomes even more dangerous. Your natural antioxidant defenses weaken. Your blood vessels lose flexibility. The repair processes slow down. What your body could handle years ago now lingers longer, causing even more damage. Richard's frustration turned into genuine concern. Why didn't anyone tell me this? And you know what? It's a fair question. because the focus is often way too narrow. Everyone focuses on cholesterol but overlooks the oxidation that keeps feeding plaque. So, we changed his approach. Not by taking him off his medication, but by adding support for this missing pathway. We started with simple antioxidant-rich foods, berries, extra virgin olive oil, green tea. We focused on stabilizing his blood sugar by improving meal balance and reducing hidden sources of inflammation. And guess what? Over time, Richard's energy improved. Follow-up imaging showed stability, not progression. Because here's the key. When you address oxidation, you're not just lowering cholesterol numbers. You're changing what's happening inside the arteries themselves, making a real, lasting difference. A man named Walter sat across from me, 74 years old, a retired engineer, and extremely detail-oriented. He kept track of everything: blood pressure, cholesterol, daily steps. He was proud of his numbers, and honestly, they looked good. His doctor had told him his risk was under control. But there was one thing he couldn't ignore. His stamina was slowly declining. Walking the same route felt harder than it used to. No sharp pain, just a quiet, creeping limitation. At first, Walter thought it was just normal aging. After all, nothing seemed obviously wrong. No alarming test results, no major symptoms, just a gradual change that felt easy to dismiss. But we decided to dig deeper. Imaging revealed something that would change everything. His plaque wasn't just soft buildup. Some of it had started to harden, becoming structured and less flexible. And that's a game changer. Here's something most people don't realize. Plaque isn't just fat sitting in your arteries. Over time, it develops a structural framework. Proteins like fibrin form a mesh, and calcium gets deposited, turning plaque into something more like concrete than sludge. Once that happens, it's much harder for the body to break it down naturally. This process happens gradually, driven by repeated low-level damage, oxidation, inflammation, small injuries to the vessel wall. Your body tries to patch the cracks, but instead of making the arteries flexible again, it creates rigidity. And that rigidity limits blood flow, especially when your body needs more oxygen during activity. After 60, this becomes even more dangerous. Your body's ability to clear fibrin slows down. Calcium regulation becomes less efficient. Blood vessels lose their elasticity. So instead of adapting to your needs, they stiffen. And this added stiffness increases strain on your heart with every beat. Walter looked at me and said something I hear all the time. No one ever explained this part. And he was right. Most doctors stop the conversation at cholesterol. They don't go deeper to explain the structural damage that's happening quietly inside the arteries. So, we made a change. Not by taking him off his medication, but by adding something that addresses this missing layer. We worked on supporting his body's natural ability to manage the structural buildup, improving circulation, supporting enzymes that help balance fibrin, encouraging gentle movement to keep blood flow active. We also focused on nutrients that help regulate calcium, so it stays in the bones where it belongs, not in the arteries. Over time, Walter's endurance improved. It didn't happen overnight, but gradually. That quiet limitation he once accepted as just aging started to ease. Because here's the truth. When you address the structural side of plaque, you're not just slowing it down. You're giving your arteries a chance to function properly again. And that's where real change happens. Let me tell you about Linda. She was 70 years old, and she was proactive about her health. She took her medications on time, walked every day, kept all her doctor appointments, and even added supplements she'd read about online. On paper, everything seemed under control. Her cholesterol had improved, blood pressure was stable. Her doctor reassured her she was managing things well, but something didn't feel right to Linda. She said to me, "I'm doing everything I'm supposed to, so why do I still feel like something is off?" That quiet feeling is often more important than most people realize. Because while Linda's routine seemed harmless, it was actually hiding a silent mistake. She was treating each issue separately. One pill for cholesterol, one for blood pressure, and a supplement for circulation. But nothing was working together. Here's what most people don't realize. The body doesn't operate in isolated parts. Oxidation, inflammation, and structural damage are all connected. When you treat them one by one, without considering the bigger picture, the underlying process keeps going. For Linda, her medication helped lower her cholesterol, but it didn't fully address the inflammation coming from her diet and gut health. At the same time, oxidative stress from poor sleep and mild insulin resistance was still damaging her blood vessels. And because those two issues were still active, her body kept reinforcing plaque with fibrin and calcium. So, even though her individual numbers were improving, the overall environment inside her arteries was still pushing in the wrong direction. Why this matters? After 60. After 60, this becomes even more critical. Your body loses some of its ability to compensate. Systems don't balance themselves as easily. Small imbalances in one area now begin to affect other areas more quickly. What used to cancel out now compounds. Linda wasn't failing. Her approach was simply incomplete. There was a moment when Linda looked at me and said, "So it's not just one thing I need to fix." I looked at her and said honestly, "No, it never was." So we reworked her approach, not by adding more complexity, but by making her plan more connected. We aligned her meals to reduce inflammation, stabilize blood sugar. We added targeted antioxidants to reduce oxidative stress. We improved her sleep routine to support natural repair. And we introduced gentle daily movement with intentionality, not just habit. Every part of her plan now supported the others. Over time, things began to shift. It wasn't just in her lab results, it was in how she felt. She became clearer, more stable, and felt more in control. Because when you stop treating the body like separate problems and start supporting it as one coordinated system, that's when real change begins. Let me tell you about George. He was 76 years old and had always been a big believer in natural health. For years, his blood pressure had been a concern, but instead of medications, he focused on eating healthy, cutting out processed foods, and doing moderate exercise. He kept a positive attitude and felt good overall. But every now and then, George noticed his legs feeling swollen and heavy after walking longer distances. At first, he didn't think much of it, but when the swelling persisted, he decided to come in for a checkup. His cholesterol was within the normal range, and his heart seemed fine. But this swelling? It just didn't add up. So, we ran an ultrasound. What we found shocked him. His arteries were developing more plaque than expected, and there was restriction in blood flow. The surprising part? His cholesterol numbers didn't reflect how severe the problem had become inside. George looked at me and said, "I thought I was doing everything right. What did I miss?" This is where the misunderstanding happens. It's more than just the plaque sitting in your arteries. Here's what most people don't realize. The real problem isn't just plaque sitting there. It's how that plaque affects blood flow over time. As plaque builds up, it narrows the arteries, and that means less blood can get through, especially when your body needs it the most, like during exercise, or even simple activities like standing up quickly. But there's another hidden element, and this is why George's case is so important. Over time, plaque can destabilize and rupture, and when that happens, it triggers a clot. Those clots can break loose and travel to the heart, brain, or lungs, leading to life-threatening conditions like heart attacks or strokes. Why after 60, this gets worse? Now, after 60, this process speeds up. Your body becomes less effective at stabilizing plaque. The protective barriers inside your arteries start to lose their strength. That's why many people who feel fine suddenly experience a major cardiovascular event. George wasn't failing because of his diet or attitude. He missed the key piece, the fragility of plaque as it develops and hardens over time. Simply lowering cholesterol wasn't enough. We had to address the long-term stability of his arterial health. So, we made a change. Not just by increasing exercise or medications, but by adding specific nutrients that could help stabilize plaque. We introduced omega-3 fatty acids to reduce inflammation, blood thinners to lower the clotting risk, targeted movement to improve circulation. Over the next few months, George noticed a huge improvement. His legs stopped swelling, his energy increased, and most importantly, follow-up scans showed less plaque buildup. This wasn't just controlled cholesterol. We were actively managing the factors that truly matter. Because when you stabilize plaque, you're not just slowing the buildup, you're reducing the risk of what's coming next, keeping your heart and arteries healthy for the long term. All right, let's bring this all together into something simple and practical. Because let's be honest, information only matters if you can actually use it. First things first, don't stop your current medications. They still play a crucial role in your health. But here's what you need to understand. Medications are only one part of the picture. What we're doing now is adding the missing pieces. Start with your meals. Focus on reducing inflammation and stabilizing blood sugar. Build your plate around real food, vegetables, healthy fats like olive oil, and clean quality protein. Try to limit processed carbohydrates like packaged snacks, white bread, and sugary foods. These foods cause repeated spikes in blood sugar, which damages your arteries over time. Add daily antioxidant support. This doesn't need to be complicated. Just a handful of berries, a cup of green tea, or some dark leafy greens. These are simple, natural ways to reduce oxidative stress, one of the key drivers of plaque formation. Support your circulation and structural health. Gentle, consistent movement is key. Walking every day, even just 20 to 30 minutes, keeps blood flowing and helps prevent stagnation in your arteries. This also supports your body's ability to manage fibrin and keep your blood vessels flexible. Improve your omega-3 intake. Omega-3s help calm inflammation and support plaque stability. You can get this from fatty fish a few times a week, or take a high-quality supplement if needed. Don't overlook sleep. Sleep matters more than most people realize. Poor sleep increases inflammation and oxidative stress. Aim for consistent, quality sleep. Even small improvements here can make a big difference in how your body handles plaque. Track key markers with your doctor. It's not just about cholesterol. Ask your doctor about tracking inflammation markers like CRP, blood sugar levels, and if possible, imaging to see actual plaque progression. Because numbers alone don't tell the full story. Consistency is key. The most important thing? Consistency beats everything. None of this works if it's done just occasionally. Your arteries respond to what you do daily, not just what you do once in a while. This isn't about doing everything perfectly. It's about covering all three key pathways: reducing oxidation, calming inflammation, supporting structural health. When you address all three, you're not just managing risk on paper, you're actively changing what's happening inside your arteries every single day. Let's be real. This isn't easy. It's not about a quick fix or some miracle pill. It's about taking real control over your health in a way that makes a lasting difference. It's never too late. I want you to hear this clearly. You're not too old to start making these changes, and it's not too late for your arteries to start improving. Your body still has an incredible ability to heal and adapt, even after 60. But that healing doesn't come from hoping things will improve. It comes from making intentional, informed choices every single day. I've spent years with patients who thought they were too far gone. They believed their health was already decided for them. But I've seen countless moments of transformation when people began addressing every piece of their health puzzle. They started feeling better, moving better, and even saw improvements in their scans. These aren't miracles. They are the results of understanding what's happening inside your body and taking action to fix it, step by step. If you're feeling frustrated, like things aren't moving fast enough, or you're wondering why you haven't heard this before, you're not alone. A lot of this hasn't been shared with you, and that's a big reason why so many people suffer, not knowing they have options. But the truth is, by focusing on the right steps, inflammation, oxidation, and plaque stability, you can make real, lasting improvements. Take a moment to reflect on what you've learned, because the power to change is in your hands. Don't ignore the little signs. They matter. Take these steps, stay consistent, and you'll give your arteries the chance they deserve. This isn't just about adding years to your life. It's about improving the quality of those years. You deserve a life where you feel strong, healthy, and in control. It's never too late to start, and you're never too old to make a difference. The most common approach to heart health often focuses too narrowly on cholesterol. But the real problem isn't just cholesterol. There are hidden mechanisms that most doctors don't address: oxidation, inflammation, and structural damage inside your arteries. These three factors contribute to plaque buildup, and ignoring them can allow plaque to continue growing, even with the right medication. But here's the good news. When you focus on all three, oxidation, inflammation, and plaque stability, you start to see real positive changes. This means focusing on your diet, your circulation, your antioxidants, supporting your body's ability to reduce inflammation. When you make these changes consistently, you're actively changing what's happening inside your arteries. And the results? You'll feel better, move better, and most importantly, protect your heart and arteries in ways you might never have thought possible. Now, I want to ask you, are you ready to take control and make a real change in your heart health? If this resonated with you, share this video with others who might need to hear this too. Don't keep it to yourself. There are people who might be struggling with their heart health right now, and they don't even know it. This information could change their lives. Subscribe for more insights on improving heart health naturally, and be sure to hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything. I'm here to help you understand your body and take charge of your health, every step of the way. The information provided is for educational purposes only. Always consult with your healthcare provider before making any changes to your diet, lifestyle, or medications. This content is not intended to replace professional medical advice.